Let's dive into free agency with Heath Cummings right now on Fantasy Football Today in 5. We're going to talk about the best destinations for the best free agents and some news on Chris Godwin and David Njoku in that order. First of all, Heath, welcome. And Chris Godwin, apparently looks like he's going to be back with the Bucs. If they can't get a long-term deal, then they'll franchise tag him, according to a report. So what do you think about Chris Godwin back with Tampa Bay? You don't let a wide receiver that good, that young walk away. I'm glad they're keeping him.
Oh, yeah, they're keeping him, but who's going to be throwing to him is the question on everyone's mind. Right now, I kind of have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers projected with a league average quarterback. And in that scenario, he's a low-end number one for me. But there's significant, at least some risk that they go into the season with Kyle Trask as their starting quarterback and Godwin and Evans, the top two wide receivers, and those guys disappoint. But right now, I'd say borderline number one wide receiver with Evans as a low-end number two.
So David Njoku, I know there was someone else that you had mentioned before the show that was going to get franchised.
Mike Williams.
Right. I knew that one. We covered that one on FFT on the full length show on Monday, but let's talk about it again here. So I wanted to see them, upgrade a number two receiver, but I'm just not a Mike Williams guy. I don't know. Maybe they still will. But what do you think?
It's so tough to say I want to see them upgrade at wide receiver when Mike Williams had for 4 years been as good, 3 years, been as good as he had been on an opportunity basis. Fantastic yards per catch, fantastic yards per target. Anytime he got the ball, he did good things with it. And then last year, they threw it to him 129 times in 16 games, and he posted the exact same 8.9 yards per target that he did in 2020. Mike Williams was an elite wide receiver last year, finished 16th on a per-game basis. And this just makes me feel better about Justin Herbert. I don't know that there was a free agent option for them to go get to fit better next to Keenan Allen in this offense. And so I love it. I felt kind of foolish because I had Mike Williams, I think, really low in my original rankings just because I wasn't sure where he's going to be or what the market would be. If he's back on the Chargers with Keenan Allen, he's a top 24 wide receiver for me.
And so you don't care about the fact that it was basically just the first, I want to say 5 games of the season. And then after that, he was really disappointing and consistent. I mean, week after week, one of the most frustrating players.
Yeah. I mean, I would push back against that a little bit. He had 97 yards and a touchdown in week 11. He had 110 yards in week 13. He had 119 yards and a touchdown in week 18. Like he was very boom or bust in the second half.
But it was a lot more bust than boom. A lot more bust.
But you talk about the wide receivers that are in the wide receiver 2 range, and we've got a lot of guys like that with big time upside and very low floors. And I think that's what Williams is likely to be. But even so, like there were a lot of games with 12, 8, 9. Like it's not like he was putting up 2s.
Mm-hmm.
He was still producing pretty well.
All right. Well, let's.
I think his really bad stretch was week 6 through 10 when he was awful. But if I would guess if we looked at the second half of the season, he's probably still a number 3 wide receiver.
Yeah, I think so. If you're going to be the number 2 receiver for the Chargers and get them many targets, it's a good chance you should be a 2 or a 3. He was 15th. I think you said 16th per game. I think he was 15th overall. So great year for him overall. And I guess in an ideal world they would have had Amari Cooper. I would have preferred him to Mike Williams, something like that.
I think that's I think Amari Cooper is better, although all the complaints that you just levied against Mike Williams, fantasy managers say about Amari Cooper. It's just he's done it for longer and finished as that number 2 boom bust wide receiver for more years than Mike Williams has. The other thing is I think Williams' skill set might fit better with Keenan Allen than Amari Cooper. Cooper is kind of similar to Allen in a lot of ways.
All right, so I think, Heath, that we're not probably going to see Devontae Adams hit the open market. Chris Godwin, we just talked about. I think maybe some of the biggest movers might be offensive linemen. Maybe it's Teron Armstead, maybe Brandon Scherf. He seems more certain. So if you want to see a team upgrade the offensive line, which team are you looking at?
Well, I mean, obviously the Bengals need to, but I think the more interesting for me, depending on what they do at running back, and maybe it's draft one, but the Dolphins, because everybody sees Mike McDaniel and thinks, oh, they're going to be really good at running the football. they've got a lot of work to do on the offensive line to make that a possibility. But if they went out and got a couple pieces, then I might start to believe in whoever is the starting running back for the Miami Dolphins.
That is Heath Cummings. I'm Adam Azer. We'll talk to you tomorrow, or we'll talk to you on Tuesday. If you're watching on Monday or listening on Tuesday, we'll have a full-length episode on Tuesday of Fantasy Football Today, and FFT and 5 will be back on Thursday.